Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to be going over how to play mid on Ancient. Now the first thing you need to know is what a standard round on Ancient looks like for the CTs. There is a mid player on Ancient, but you need to understand that you are not going to be playing mid alone. Most of the time you're going to have at least one teammate here to help you, and that could be either the A anchor or your opper. But also a lot of the time you're going to have all three of you here. And since sometimes you can spawn all the way over here and one of your other mid players can spawn here, there are going to be times where you're not the first person out of mid. So if you're not the first person to mid from red, then you have to understand what the second spawn or the third spawn does. But don't worry, I'm going to make this very simple. I'm just going to show you what nades need to be thrown every round, and then you can just fill in the gap depending on what spawn you have. And real quick before we go into the guide, I do have to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is an automated trading site that allows you to take some of your old skins and trade them in for some new ones. There are a ton of skins on the site, but if you're looking for something specific, you can use the filter to find the skin that you're looking for. And when you're making your first trade on the site, make sure to use my code GRAPE for a bonus of up to $5 for free. If you see a skin on the site that you want and you don't have one of equal value, you can also deposit money with a 30% bonus plus an extra 5% if you use my code GRAPE at checkout. And even if you don't have anything to trade, they do free giveaways every single day, so there's literally nothing to lose by joining Skins Monkey. So just make sure to use the link in my description and have fun trading. Alright, so the first thing we need to understand how to do is deny the mid rush. Playing against the mid rush as the CTs can seem pretty overwhelming and hard, but if we throw the correct utility at the start of the round, it's going to be pretty impossible for the Ts to run out instantly. Since the Ts have to run through this small area right here, using our HEs is our best weapon. But first of all, I do have to go over probably the most important smoke for the mid players on CT, and that is the instant elbow smoke. From all 5 of the CT spawns, there is a lineup you can throw instantly to smoke elbow. Now you're going to want this smoke almost every single round. Some rounds we're going to throw a molly there instead of a smoke, and I'll go over that later. And usually you want your opper on your team to know this smoke because your other 2 riflers want to be the ones going down mid, not the op. And it's fine if the op is later to mid because he doesn't have to be there to run down right away. Now I'll link a guide to the instant elbow smokes in the description below. But to be honest, at a lot of your guys' level and even my level at high level 10, it's not really common for someone on our team to know all 5 instant elbow smokes, especially not the person that calls to op. So I'm also going to go over a way to take mid without having the smoke at all, so don't worry about that. But first I'm going to go over what nades you need to be throwing if you have the instant elbow smoke, and then I'll go over the nades that you need to throw if you don't have the smoke. Alright, so the first person coming out of red needs to come here and then throw a molly off the wall like this to molly the run out. This molly will spread to the back wall and also to the front wall. It's important that you aim pretty low for this molly because if you aim too high like this, it'll bounce too far forward and then anyone running out of mid will not get mollied and be able to just run out for free. So as you're running out, just run along this wall right here, aim a little bit above this part of the wall like this, and then just left click throw the molly. CT mollies kind of suck, but it should spread enough to molly anyone on the back wall. Now after that, there are a couple of ways you can run down mid as the first spawn. First of all, the most common pathing is just throwing your molly and then jumping like this to donut, playing anti-flash from any of the flashes, standing here anti-flash. If you hear any flashes pop, you can turn around and fight. But also after you jump to donut, you can also hold a flash like this, bounce it off the wall, and then peek off the flash pop and then turn around and fight anyone running out of mid. And that is probably one of the most safe ways to play for the rush. You are also able to throw a nade off the wall. So after you throw your molly, just come here, throw an HE, and then jump to donut. But as you can see, we weren't really playing anti-flash for as long, so we could get caught out by a flash. And if any of the Ts were running it down close to donut, they might be able to catch us off guard. But hopefully we'll have support from our second player to mid. So that's just a little bit riskier, but definitely a nade you can throw. You can also throw the same molly and then just play anti-flash for a second, then turn back and try and catch anyone running out of mid. Again, assuming we have the elbow smoke, so don't worry about that. And then playing in the cubby for anyone trying to run out. Be aware it's important that you're playing here if you have a smoke, because this can get mollied very easily, so it's important that you have a smoke to bail you out. To be honest though, this position kind of sucks. The only reason you would ever play here is to play for the anti-rush, so if you get to here and you see that they're running out mid, you're in a pretty okay spot to fight them if you have support from donut or house. But just sitting here for longer than like 5-10 seconds is pretty bad. If the Ts do any sort of mid pop, like if they molly cubby and you have to smoke it, you're going to be super isolated just sitting here in a smoke, and they're either going to run by you or just spam you down. And then of course it is always possible to just throw both of these nades and then just run down mid playing anti-flash. That way we're going to be faster to fighting up cat. You just have to be more aware of the possibility of the Ts running out and fighting you early, but as long as you're aware that you might be fighting them right here, then you're going to be fine. Now as for the second spawn, your job is a little bit easier than the first. All you have to do is just come here and throw an HE basically right on top of the molly that your first player throws. That way anyone running out of mid is going to be eating this HE and also getting slowed down, so they're going to spend more time in the molly if they didn't smoke it. If you're going to be running down mid with your teammate, after you throw your HE, you should just come here and throw a bounce flash like this and then play anti-flash. That way anyone trying to run out, even if they smoke the molly, they're going to be eating this HE and this flash, and they're not going to be able to swing out, and if they do while they're blind, then you're just going to have free kills. So it would just look like this. Your first player comes here and throws this molly. After he throws this molly, he just comes here playing anti-flash to run down mid, and then you as the second spawn just comes here, throws an HE right on top of his molly and then a flash, and then right as your flash pops, your teammate's able to peek mid. If anyone snuck out into this cubby, they're going to be completely blind, and then you guys can go into stage 2 of the mid take. Stage 1 is denying the mid rush in the ways I just showed, and stage 2 is getting ready to fight up cat. It's important that your cave player communicates whether or not the T's can run up cat to fight you mid, because if they can, then you guys can't just sit around here fighting towards mid because you're just going to get flanked and killed pretty easily. But if your cave player says he has the cross and they can't actually run over to cat, then what you should do after this is completely cleared is try and have someone jump up cat to fight. All you have to do for this is jump up the box, but it is important you do this a certain way. As you can see, if I jump up on this part of the box, I'm spending time in the air where the T's would be able to see me and kill me. So if you jump more to the left, there's less chance that the T's are going to be able to see you, since they would have to be wide holding like this. Whereas if you jump on the other side, anyone standing over here would be able to see you. So just make sure you don't make that mistake. But yeah, after you jump up, there's a few things you can do. Fighting down B with your teammate is pretty strong, but it's important you don't just grief dry peek this every time. It's definitely not bad to just dry peek this right away when you have the timing, because waiting for a flash or your teammate might just take too long, and you're going to have the advantage if you're up here really fast, since a lot of the time the T's will just run up cat to try and take cheetah. So if you're jumping up cat while they're right around here, you're going to have a good chance of catching them off guard. But if you're a little bit slower to jumping up cat, if you just dry peek this late in the round, there's a chance an opper might be holding from doors, or people are just holding from bottom B, and then you're just taking a duel that is a 50-50. So if you have someone towards donut, they can throw a flash over for us to fight. That way we can peek and our cave player can peek as well. Or even if we have a B player, he can just throw a flash into bucket like this. That way anyone back here is getting blind and we can fight up cat. Those are just a couple ways we can get a flash to fight, but this fight is really strong for the CTs as long as you have the correct utility or timing. Now, if we get mid control and our teammate calls that they can be up cat, we kind of have to leave right away. Just sitting here and trying to hold for the T's running up cat is pretty risky, especially because we have to have someone holding towards elbow in case the T's trying to come out late. So we just have one person sitting here and holding. It's not really going to work out. Even if you go 1 for 1, your other mid player holding the other side is going to be isolated after you die. So it's better to just give mid at this point and play back for info. And as for playing back off mid, there's a couple of ways we can do this. So let's say we have to fall off mid, or we decide to play passive from the start of the round. We definitely want to have one person towards donut to spot mid. That way, if you're spotting this whole mid cross, you can tell your team that they can't cross to red and flank towards B or A. And if you ever get smoked off, then you can communicate that there is a red gap, and someone will have to pick this up for any of the T's trying to lurk in. But yeah, if we're towards donut, what we need to be doing is jiggling this for the mid cross. So if you spot anything, you can smoke it off, play to live, and then call that there is a red gap. Or if you want to play a little bit more aggressive, there's a nice off angle you can play right here in the middle of donut. It looks a bit silly, but it's actually a really nice spot to play. When people are clearing towards donut, they're going to be peeking into the most common angles here. They're going to be looking to the right side, and then they're going to be moving their crosshair to peek towards the left. And as you can see, right when you're about to peek towards the left, you would see this person and you have to flick to kill them. So this is a really nice off angle to play. One more thing about this angle is that you do have a shadow advantage. So right here, you would see the T shadow before you actually see them. So let me just place a bot. So as you can see, holding this angle, you can see a shadow right here, and I'll remove the bot so that you can see it go away. And this shadow also exists for the top. As you can see the shadow right there, and I'll just take it away. That's why you'll see a lot of operators just hold one of these sides, because they know if they see a shadow, they will be able to flick up in time. So that's just something to be aware of. Now, as for taking mid when there is no elbow smoke at the start of the round, everything is very similar other than the nades that you're going to be throwing. So because we don't have an elbow smoke at the start of the round, we're going to have to throw a molly there. So all we have to do is the first spawn is just throw a molly like this. That way anyone elbow will get mollied off and we'll be able to run down mid like before. So as the first spawn, just run against this wall, look for this vine right here, aim at the bottom, and then just run forward and left click throw. The molly will bounce like this. I was about to record a segment saying don't aim too high because I thought that molly would pop in the air, and I swear it did before, but now I'm aiming super high and look, the molly is literally just still landing. I swear before in CSGO, you used to be able to not throw it this high, but I guess it doesn't matter as much now. So there's a lot of room for error here on this molly. All right, I finally aimed high enough where it won't pop. So just make sure you're not aiming that high when you throw the molly. Just aim around here on the vine and then just left click throw. So after you throw your molly, you can do the same thing as before and just throw an HE off the wall. Or if you want, you can go to donut and do the bounce flash. And then as the second spawn, all you have to do is throw the molly that the first spawn throws when you have the elbow smoke. And then I would also suggest throwing an HE or a flash as well. And then once you clear this with the mollies up, all you have to do is just smoke elbow yourself. If you're playing from the cubby, all you have to do is just look for this wall right here and then left click throw. The smoke will bounce like this and land elbow. It was kind of lucky it landed on that ledge. It won't always do that, but that was a nice smoke. If you were playing towards donut and you want to smoke elbow, you can just come here. I stand around here, look for this elephant looking thing, and then just aim in the center of these X's right here. Then just run forward and left click throw. The smoke will bounce like this and land towards elbow. This one kind of took a funny bounce and landed to the left, but it still worked. They just might be able to boost over this a little better, but it usually lands pretty okay. But yeah, everything's basically the same. We're just using one extra molly at the start of the round, and then using one of our smokes towards mid, but we're still able to take mid without even having the elbow smoke. And one more thing about taking mid that I actually forgot to go over is that the T's will commonly molly Xbox. So a lot of the time you'll see the T's throw a molly like this to stop you from jumping up cat. Sometimes they'll throw the molly like this, but this is actually worse, but you might see this in your ranks, even at my ranks in high level 10. And what we can do if we really want to fight up cat with our teammate, after we clear mid, just have one of the players smoke this molly and then you can just jump up and fight early, because the T's are going to be calling that they mollied Xbox and they're not going to be aware of you jumping up. And one more play I actually forgot to go over, I just reminded myself showing the molly, is if you're the first spawn, whether you're throwing the deep molly or the close molly, after you throw your molly, you can just jump up cat like this. This jump is a little hard, but once you make this jump, you can just play anti-flash, turn back around, fight mid. If there's nothing there, you can turn and fight cat super fast. That's why a lot of the teams are throwing a molly like this for cat, so that anyone trying to do this play will have to fall back, so just keep that in mind. I just realized that I never really went over the Opera's role for mid, but a lot of the time the Opera is not going to be doing too much towards mid, maybe just throwing some support flashes for his team, or he might even take over the role of one of the riflers if your A anchor is playing towards A. So the Op role is a little bit different on this map, but I will be making a full op guide in the future. But yeah, the most important roles are the 2 first spawns towards mid. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to go over in today's video. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below. Check out my Discord or leave a message in my Twitch chat when I'm live. If you're interested in coaching or demo reviews, I have a Medify linked in the description below. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this guide can help you in your games. See ya.